Got too many screens going here. There we go. I'm Dr. Schneider-Klein. I'm the department chair for our program. I oversee the undergraduate and graduate programs here at UNK in communication disorders. We have a few other guests from the department on with us tonight, and I'll let them introduce themselves before I go through the rest of the spiel. Dr. Lai, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Dr. Philip Lai. I am in my 6th year here at UNK. I am a researcher. My area of research focuses on understanding language and both verbal and nonverbal communication in young children with autism spectrum disorders.
Fantastic. Thank you. You made me realize I told nothing about myself other than my job. I am a speech language pathologist at heart, and I specifically specialize in pediatric work. I teach classes at the graduate level in phonological disorders, as well as our reading and writing strategies. I also love all things assessment, and clinical application. Clinical writing is kind of where my research lies, as well as looking at language, literacy, and speech in children. So Mrs. Moody, I'll let you introduce yourself next.
Very good. I am Laura Moody. I'm the clinic coordinator at UNK. So I do all of the placements for clinical experiences throughout the program in both on campus, I guess, and online programs. I've been at UNK for 10 years now and graduated from UNK myself as a student. So it is a great place to go to school.
Thank you. And Amanda.
Yes, hello, I'm Amanda Keating. I'm the online program coordinator, so I specifically work with the online SLP graduate program. And I'm sure I've talked to all of you at least once and will continue to do that. So
thank you. And then we also have a couple of current online graduate students joining our panel tonight to answer questions that you have shortly. Tiffany, would you like to introduce yourself first here?
Yes.
Share a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name is Tiffany Kiamase Esparza. I am a part of the first online cohort, so I'm within my 2nd year and have one more year to go about. And yeah.
That's great. I'm sure we'll get more details from you later. Thank you. And Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Gardner. I'm also with Tiffany, the first cohort, so I'm in my 2nd year, and it's been a great time online.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is who's online with us tonight, but as you can see on the slide, there are other faculty members within our department that help support both our residential and online programs. The picture next to me here is Dr. Michelle McKelvey. She is a former department chair here, and she's moved up into the associate dean's role in our college. So she's still part-time in the department and teaches in her specialty area of AAC primarily. Dr. Jan Moore is our resident audiologist. She is unique in that most people are usually certified through ASHA as an audiologist or a speech language pathologist. She has both certifications. So she gets our world as well as has that experience as an audiologist as well. Dr. Ghazi Saidi is a professor in our department and a researcher as well. Her expertise lies in the area of adults, particularly in the area of cognition and bilingualism. She teaches courses like aphasia and our cognitive communication disorders class. Next to Dr. Lai's photo there is our newest faculty member, Dr. Jane Roych. She's in her 1st year with the department on a full-time basis. She was an adjunct instructor for us previously, but she teaches in the online program at the graduate level. Right now she's teaching motor speech. In the fall, she taught diagnostic methods. So she's another great addition to our department, and you would likely have her as an instructor if you came to our program. On the bottom row here with Mrs. Moody and Amanda are Crystal Heinrichs, Jill Wilson, and Denise Wolf. They're all clinical educators in our department that primarily teach at the undergraduate level. So you probably wouldn't have much interaction with them. They're fantastic if you do. And then Kim Panowitz is our office associate, kind of keeps us all in check. So that's who we are. I also want to kind of explain the process. So you've heard your decision following submission of your application. Now what, right? All that stress and work to get your application in. You've heard we've either admitted you or put you on our wait list. What happens next is that those decisions from all potential students are due to us by April 15th. That's a national mandatory thing that's covered by all, all universities are functioning under that rule. So what happens after April 15th is Amanda and Dr. Lai and Mrs. Moody and I all start thinking about what's next. So if we're shooting for a target cohort size of around 20 to 25 students, okay? So if we on April 15th know that 12 students are gonna come, then we start from our admit list and we start working our way down our wait list until we get to that 20 to 25 magic number. So the reason I want to explain this to you is that I'm asking for your patience if you're on that wait list, because we've sometimes worked out our plans and had gone through our wait list. We have to give people a little bit of time to respond. And we've had students that have just changed their mind or dropped out and gone back to our wait list as late as July to try to fill our cohort. So don't give up on me. We'll work as quickly as we can to fill the cohort, but that's kind of how that works. So once we know who our cohort is, and actually before that, as people are committing to the program, what we start doing is transcript reviews to determine what coursework you've already had and what coursework you need. We have an outline of our grad program that we'll walk through here momentarily to show you what's required of our grad program. But if you're missing any other coursework in areas that are required by ASHA, that's what we're looking for in these transcript reviews to give you an idea of, hey, maybe over the summer you could take this class if you have time, so you don't have to take that throughout your program. So our goal is to have your individual plan of study out to you by early summer. Again, I like to give students time that if they have the opportunity over the summer to take any deficiency courses, that they're able to do that. So try to get those out as early as possible. May is always my goal, but sometimes early June is more realistic. We'll just see how the year goes. But after you get those plans of study, then we outline kind of what to expect, what classes you should enroll in for the fall, and other kind of paperwork, logistic type things that need taken care of before classes start in the fall. We do have a virtual orientation that takes place on Canvas online the week before classes start, just to kind of get you familiar with the program, with our expectations and what's to come. But then classes will start the week of August 21st this year. So questions about that piece thus far? Have I missed anything, my UNK folks? All right.
Actually, I can chime in real quick and say this is recorded. So this will be made available if you want to rewatch this again.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. There were a few that were unable to make it tonight, so we did want to capture this information for them and share that. So thanks, Dr. Lai. Okay, so let's say you decide you want to come. Again, what can you expect? Well, this program is unique in that it's part-time and asynchronous, obviously conducted all online across 9 semesters. 8 of those semesters include coursework. And then one is just, that last semester is just an internship. But essentially, it is all asynchronous, except for your first summer, we bring everyone to campus for 1 week as a part of your clinical competencies and SLP course. So the first year of our program is all coursework. And then you come to campus that 1 week during summer, and we get to see you in action, demonstrating your clinical skills. We have set up a 1 week speech camp for local children, and that's what you run with your classmates for that 1 week. We also have some different adult opportunities and things like that, some labs. Again, just opportunities for you to demonstrate your clinical skills. And we're looking for basic clinical skills here. We know this is your first go. So what we're looking for in that class is that you show potential to grow as a clinician and you have the basic skills we would expect of someone just starting out in this field. And then that second fall is when you would do your first practicum placement and start accruing clinical clock hours. So that's kind of how that all plays out. You do have 4 semesters within your program of practicum. That is on the students. So it's your responsibility to secure those placements within your geographic location. We guide you in that process, but ultimately it's your responsibility. After those 4 semesters of practicums, you do 2 internships across 2 semesters. Typically one is pediatric and one is medical. Mrs. Moody, I'm kind of stealing your thunder. Is there anything else you want to add in here?
No, the pediatric is oftentimes in a school setting, depending on where you're kind of headed after you graduate, whether or not you want to go to the schools, but usually school setting. And then the medical one needs to have at least 50% adults on caseload, so you can get that adult experience as well.
Thank you. These next 2 bullets are linked, so I'm going to stop this and swap over here. Maybe. Where'd we go? Okay, so we are housed in the state of Nebraska. Our program, or our background, I guess, in conducting our on-campus program is that we prepare students to be eligible for certification in the state of Nebraska. Now, we know that not all of you are located in the state of Nebraska. It's okay, we're going to forgive you for it. But ultimately, our job as a graduate program is to help you navigate the requirements of the state that you're preparing to practice in. So we want to help you, again, figure out if there's anything extra you need as far as coursework or practicum experiences, things like that, in order for you to be eligible at the end of your program for state certification, wherever you're going to be. Now, that is what's provided here from ASHA. They give you an overview for each of the 50 states as far as what's required. Again, it's just something you may want to take a look at ahead of time. When we get our graduate student cohort set, Mrs. Moody and I do conduct individual advising sessions during the first fall semester of your program so that we can help you navigate this again and determine if there's anything additional that you need. Did I capture that okay, Mrs. Moody?
Yes, you did.
All righty. The other tab that was at the bottom there is a link to our website. Hold on, I see. Oh, thank you, Amanda. What's in the chat? Amanda sent the link. Thank you, thank you. This next one is a link to our website, providing an overview. I can do this one because I definitely changed the PowerPoint on you. So it provides an overview of the program in general. We are accredited. Oh, look, there's Tiffany's picture from our week on campus. Perfect. We are accredited by the CAA. Our program has 56 credit hours. All good information there. We got a testimonial from a student. This is what I wanted to walk you through is kind of the coursework so you can see what the load would be for each semester. Again, that first year's all classwork. Typically, you'd have 2 classes each semester. Again, if you have some deficiency courses, there may be others that we recommend you take. In the first summer, then, you'll have that clinical competencies course with the 1 week on campus, as well as a voice and resonance class, and then an elective. You can see then the beginning of the second year, so you'd have a couple classes, your first practicum, and then that pattern remains then for the next few semesters. And then it kind of tapers off towards the end where there's just 1 class fall 3 with your last practicum, 1 class spring 3 with your school or pediatric internship. And then that final summer semester is your medical or adult internship. So that is how things typically play out there. I know the financial information is always a consideration as you're making these difficult decisions. So in the PowerPoint, we do have links here to information about the costs. Our online program has a set 750 per credit hour rate. We have that calculated here. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up. The financial aid information is not something I specialize in, but here is a link to individuals at UNK that do, that can tell you more if you have questions about that. Essentially, this is how it shakes out. And now that I'm putting this up here, I realize we've added that elective, so it's 56 credit hours. So we're a little shy here, but this gives you a ballpark figure for what we're looking for as far as costs are concerned. With that, I would love for our students to tell a little bit more about how this has worked for them. I know you both have different backgrounds, like what you were doing before, all of that good stuff. Kind of how you transitioned into the program, what you've liked about the program, etc. And then we can open it up to questions from our guests tonight, if that's okay. I don't care who goes first.
I can go first.
Thanks.
My background, I'm a non-traditional student. I was a full-time teacher for 5 years prior to doing my master's in speech pathology. And so once I decided that I would do the online program, I was able to work full-time as a teacher throughout my first year. And it can totally happen. Most of our cohort, they are working some sort of job, whether it be SLPAs or other jobs, as long as it's a job that can be flexible when it comes to around years 2 and 3, when you have your practicums. So currently right now, I'm not teaching anymore since I'm on year 2 and I'm just substitute teaching so I can focus on my practicums, but it's totally doable to have a job. Once you get into your schedule of classes, you get into a routine with everything. And it starts to feel like normal routine after that, once you lay everything out and get into the groove of things. And the program has been amazing. I was kind of worried going into the online world, but I actually did my undergrad at UNK, and I can tell you that the professors and everything, they will reach out to you and you still feel like you're there in person. Lots of opportunities still arise, even with being online. So it's been really great.
Thanks, Tiffany.
So I'm not in Nebraska. I live in Utah, and I got my bachelor's degree in communication disorders over 10 years ago. And so I feel I was really nervous to get back into it because I was away for so long. And but yeah, like Tiffany said, all of the professors are so great and really knowledgeable in everything. And I saw some questions about the week on campus. So I actually brought my family out to the week on campus, and they just kind of hung out and did fun things in the area while I was in classes. And it was usually 8 to 5 each day. And then we just went and did fun things in the area at night. And the professors were really great with that too. They told me all of the great tourist attractions in the area. So we checked them all out, and it was a great vacation for our family.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. I was hoping you would tackle that question. You were the best person. We do that week offer on-campus housing, but that is only for students. So if you do bring your family, there are other options, local hotels, Airbnbs, things like that you can explore. Another question that just popped up, this is an asynchronous program in its entirety, other than that 1 week on campus during the summer. So What other questions do all of you have? This is really your time to ask faculty.
I do
Yeah.
have a question. Let's see, I'm just reviewing the classes that I got on your website of what we have to take. And it says here, for like the professional certification requirements, is that for like teaching like phonological development in the classroom or something? Or what certification is that?
I am not 100% sure.
It says here like professional certification requirements, 9 hours required. And then, oh, it's the internship. Okay, so take 9 hours from internship pediatric school, 5 hours, and then, okay, and then internship, now I see it, clinical for 4 hours. That's the last 2 semesters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And since I live in California, then as you said, we would meet in the beginning and see if there's anything extra I need in order to get this certification. And this certification is for just to become a speech pathologist, or is this a certification for something different, or?
Right. So our program as a whole prepares you for ASHA certification.
Okay.
When it
Okay.
gets a little sticky is if there are, like in the state of Nebraska, for example, most schools require you to have a teacher certificate to function as a speech language pathologist in that setting. So
Okay.
like our Nebraska students, there's specific coursework that they have to complete in order to be eligible for that certification, as well as their ASHA certificate. So did I
Okay.
capture that okay, Mrs. Moody? Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I would just add that in my experience, every state has a license requirement. Some states only require a state license for you to practice in all settings. And then states like Nebraska, you need a teaching certificate if you're going to be in a school setting. So
Okay, gotcha. So this is what the certificate is the teacher's certificate, right?
not knowing what that page looks like, I don't know exactly.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think the best way to check out what your state would be that ASHA website. And when you get to ASHA, you can click on California, and then you'll see
Okay.
there's a link for teaching license or teaching certificate, and then another link for licensure. So you'll want to kind of look at both of them and see if they have different requirements.
Okay, wonderful. I will do that. And I just have one more question. How many hours what would you say that like maybe per like 3 units that we would have to commit every week on? I don't know if you can give me that number, like this many hours per week for this many units, or
Do you mean like for practicums or coursework or both?
I guess I know they would be different because with the clinicals it would be different. How about just I guess the coursework, like the first year?
Tiffany, can you maybe speak to how much time you dedicate to your coursework?
Yeah, I'd say throughout the program so far, the first year was probably my heaviest load with working and classwork. I'd say I probably dedicated about 3 hours every night, and then spent some time on the weekends as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
now
this is
that
part-time.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. And now that classes have kind of, since I'm in my second year, as you could see on the schedule, it starts to lessen a little more. I feel like that load isn't as much, but
Okay.
definitely the professors, they do an amazing job at keeping like assignments due on the same day, and they kind of have a little schedule. And then so you get to kind of create your own schedule, and you get into a routine of like when you do homework, when you study for what, and get those things done. So
Okay.
it's really
Thank
doable.
you. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Whitney.
Emily, does that reflect, I mean, is that accurate for you as well? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. Yeah, I want to say the first fall I had 9 credit hours because I had some courses to make up, I believe. And yeah, it's definitely a lot, but it's definitely doable. I have a great support system, my husband would take the kids, or my mom or in-laws would take them. So I definitely recommend, yeah, getting that great support system in and getting the schedule in like Tiffany mentioned.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Moody, one of the questions kind of relates to this too, and looking at practicum versus internship. Would you like to elaborate on the difference between those two?
Yeah, we talk about our practicum placements as part-time placements. So we're looking for you to spend a small chunk of time on a consistent basis at your practicum placement throughout the semester. So we might have a placement that's 12 weeks long, and you would be trying to earn about 2 to 3 clock hours, which is the time you actually spend with patients per week. So typically that might be like 1 half day a week throughout the semester, or maybe you would go for 2 half days a week. So that would be a practicum where it's a small caseload, and we want to get you consistent practice with working with those individuals so you can grow in your skills. Whereas an internship is intended to be full-time, where you're living the day in and day out of being a speech language pathologist for about 40 hours a week. Our pediatric placement is 10 weeks long, and our clinical placement is 8 to 12 weeks. Those clinical placements like to tell us how many weeks you need to be there, so we're a little bit more flexible to their needs, but the shortest would be an 8-week placement.
And another related question that either you or Amanda may want to tackle is, how difficult has it been for students to find their own placements?
Well, I'll start, and then Amanda, do you want to throw in additional?
Sure, go ahead.
I would say it varies based on where you're located and how you are connected. So some of our students they're already working as an SLPA, and that's been a natural placement for them. So some of their placements have been not too difficult to find. Other students who live in an area where if there's another or several large universities in where you live, and they're all looking for placements, that can make it more difficult. Some of our students live in really rural areas, which we love because we want to help get more SLPs to that area, but you may be limited in the number of places that are just down the road from you. So it has been tricky for some of us for some students to navigate finding that, but we do recommend, and we can talk with you about ideas for who to get in touch with, and starting your networking early to build those good relationships where you would have opportunities to ask for placements. What would you add, Amanda?
Yeah, you covered most of it. I was going to bring up the rural thing where you may have to commute 1 day a week to get that placement. The other thing I was going to mention is that we look far enough in advance. So if, a first or second placement fall through, you would have time to continue your search and go down the line. So.
And I might add as well that we are working really hard on finding the best way to create our own UNK network of places where we have had students. And so if you happen to live in a community where another online student has been, we are starting to develop those relationships. So we could even tell you, hey, we know 3 other students who have gone here. And that has been helpful in some of the communities where our students live.
Thank you for tackling that one. Another question came across: does UNK offer that certification for SLPs in schools for online students? We encourage our online graduate students to seek Nebraska teacher certification, and the coursework required for that is offered through UNK online. The reason we highly encourage students to do that is that we've seen a lot of other states demonstrate reciprocity. So they might say, oh, you got your degree from the University of Nebraska-Kearney. Are you eligible for teacher certification there? We've seen surrounding states especially call our certification office here and say, are they eligible? And the answer is yes, if we've checked all those boxes for you. So oftentimes that's the way we encourage students to go, and that is an option through our program. It's just a matter of, again, if there's anything different in different states that you may want to do additional things. But yes, that is how we advise our students. Practicum, how are practicums funded? Typically, yeah, Mrs. Moody, I'll let you take that one.
Talk about that. So practicum placements, we're asking others to help take you under their wing so that they can show you the ropes of being an SLP. So it's not a guarantee that it will be funded. There are some placements that will pay. More often, that's when people are working as an SLPA. Our most common experience is with school districts, that they work as an SLPA or a communication assistant with the school district. So they're getting paid for their work, but also then some of that time they are being a practicum student. So we will help you with the paperwork on our side, but we stay out of all of the payment side of it. So I will give you information to share with your employer about what our requirements are so they know what they're getting into, but then all the payment side is between you and them.
And the practicums are related to a course. So you take CIS 861 for practicum 1. So you're enrolling in a course for credit hours. So you are paying for that. And then there's course content that goes along with that to, again, guide and build your clinical skills along with that experience. So that's another piece of that financially, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Can the prerequisites be taken during the summer before the fall start? Yes, we highly encourage that. And that's why we work really hard to get those plans out as soon as possible so that you can capitalize on summertime ahead of time as much as possible. A list of prerequisites. Honestly, if you've completed our application, you've got most of the prerequisites. They're very individualized as far as what deficiencies may come up. So if you look at the ASHA requirements, I guess would be the easiest way, but I'm also willing to go through, like, you could send me your transcripts or say, hey, what am I missing? I'm happy to help kind of informally navigate that at any time. I know another question asked, can we find out before April 15th about that? I absolutely, shoot me an email and I'll gladly take a look. Again, I'll look very quickly when it's official. I'll look more carefully, so I may miss something, but yeah, I'm happy to do that at any time. The basic structure of most classes, I would say, I'll default to the students on this one, but my response would be is that it totally depends upon the instructor. I feel like we all do things a little differently. So is that accurate, ladies?
Yeah, I think we've had a little bit of everything. I'd say the one consistent thing across all classes is definitely discussion boards where you interact with your peers, but we've done some group work, writing assignments, exams, a little bit of it all.
What is the schedule for the classes every week? Is it mostly at night or in the afternoon?
They're all asynchronous, so it's all on your own.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes. Yep. Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that. Like, I don't have to go to class at a certain time, which is
Right.
and terrifying all at the same time, right?
And
But
then do we at least like meet with the instructor? Is there like one time a week or 2 times a week where just in case, let's say, I'm not like grasping something and I want to learn a little bit more or I'm not understanding. Is there somebody I can email or call or meet or like that we
yeah.
can talk?
So again, that varies by instructor. I would say, like, I know Dr. McKelvey always had a weekly office hour for her online classes where you could pop in and ask questions. I'm more likely to say, shoot me an email. We can set up a meeting if we need to, because that just works better in my schedule. So I think that varies by instructor, but we're all willing to help answer your questions and typically utilize Zoom frequently to make those connections.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. Internship placements are like those practicum placements where the students seek those out, but we guide the process. And question, would we get a CCC SLP certification through this program? You'll be eligible for it. You have to complete that clinical fellowship year in order to complete the process, but you'll have all the academic coursework that you need to be eligible for that certification. Okay, have I missed any questions, or what else do you have that you want to throw out there for the group?
Hi, I had a question. And I think you've kind of addressed this before, but when I was looking at the degree, it actually, I think it had an EDU at the end of it. Is that just then for the Nebraska students? I checked, I'm in Alaska and it's not a requirement, how does that affect every student? Is that?
Are you saying the degree is an ED? Is that, yes. So as a department, our Department of Communication Disorders is housed in the College of Education at the University of Nebraska-Kearney. So it has to do with where we're located here. We're in the College of Education. We're a part of the College of Education. So our degrees have that Master of Science or Bachelor of Science in Education. Ultimately, though, because we're CAA accredited, we prepare our students to work in either setting, just like any other accredited graduate program in the nation. So does that help? Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, I guess I just wondered if there was any additional stuff, but it's only for those, well, or could be for anybody, but specifically has to be for the Nebraska students then to get the teacher certification.
Right, and even they don't have to, we just highly recommend it in order to offer you that flexibility. If you don't get it now, it's a lot harder to come back for it later than to just have it in your back pocket.
What does that entail to get the certification?
Yeah, so for the Nebraska certification, it is typically 2 to 3 additional classes. And then at the end of the day, before you apply for that, you have to pass the Praxis Core exam. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for asking. It gets tricky. There's a lot of certification and licensing requirements that come along. So we do our best to guide you along the way again to make sure you have what you need.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's just a little different. I was like, wait, what is this?
Yes, it gets sticky for sure.
I have a question about the courses that we may need to take. Do you guys offer any of them over the summer online, or would we have to find them somewhere else?
Sure, I can't guarantee that we offer everything, but we do offer a pretty good selection of online classes, especially those that are typically needed by our incoming graduate students. Research, neurological foundations, clinical methods and observations, like those type of courses. If you haven't had those already, we have those in the summer. Otherwise, if we don't offer them or you're not able to find them somewhere else, we may be able to build them into your program in a different semester.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Any other burning questions? Current coursework. Amanda, is that a graduate course that you're taking? No, and probably not. If you've had an undergrad version or one of the grad versions in our program, we typically require you to take the graduate level course. We could look carefully at the syllabus, but typically we do require that grad level course to meet our requirements for the program. So great background knowledge, set up for success. What else?
I have a question for some of the current graduate students about just kind of going back to like how the courses are structured and all of that. So I am currently taking some leveling coursework through UNK online as well. And it has been really nice, but I will say since it is varied from professor to professor, you know, some PowerPoints and lectures are more supplemented and nourished than others. And I'm just curious if, since this is, you know, a graduate program and we're taking what we have learned in undergrad and going that much further, if, you know, if the lectures are longer and if they're, you know, well nourished and supplemented with information.
I definitely feel like we are given all the resources we need and then more. I feel like, yes, I feel like you get a lot of information. And going back to, if you ever have questions, the professors are so willing to help out and answer those questions. And as we've gone along in the courses, just working with other cohort members and getting more information that way too has always been great.
And to add on, I would say when you work with a new professor, you start to learn their different teaching styles, and you definitely get used to how they present their information. But like Emily said, they're always willing to answer any questions if you feel like you're missing anything. I've Zoomed with lots of professors, ask them questions. I've emailed, they're very quick to emailing you back too, which is wonderful. Being online, sometimes I get worried, like, am I going to get my responses in time to get my homework done the way I want it to? And they're always so timely and are helpful with that.
And also I want to say, I don't know, it usually ends up to be like 2 courses with each professor that I've had so far. And so, yeah, you'll get used to that one professor and then you'll have them for another course. And so it all works out. It's great.
Good advice and good question. Another question came up in the chat. Can students move from one state to another while in the online program? We have seen a surprising amount of students move from state to state within our 2 years of offering this program. So yes, it's absolutely doable. And again, we just try to help you navigate, like, what's your end point? Where do you think you will be at the end of your program so that you make sure you have what you need for certification in that state? Another question, how flexible is it to travel during the semester? Is it possible to take exams earlier if we're traveling abroad, or for example, during winter break? I think, like, being an asynchronous class, you can do the work wherever you go. I would say that in graduate school, there's not really a pause button on your classes. So we would expect for your travel not to interfere with your coursework or your practicums, but there are breaks built into the schedule between semesters and even during, spring break in the spring, etc. We probably request that you capitalize on those breaks for your travel. But I think that's.
I throw in there for practicum.
Yes.
You would need to be at practicum the full number of weeks. So that would be one that you cannot end early.
Yeah, I know when we're talking about our residential full-time program, it's 40 hours a week, all day, every day. And I know our online program is part-time, but it is still a commitment and it's a graduate program. So it is, training you to be a professional. So we expect that level of commitment to your studies, even as a part-time program.
And if you do travel, you just got to make sure you have good internet as well, since it is an online program.
Yes, great point. Good. All right. Well, what else can we tell you about being a LOPER? That's the other question we sometimes get. What is a LOPER? Just an abbreviation for an antelope. We're out here in the plains. Some people don't know where we are either. So look up Kearney, Nebraska on a map. We're right in the middle of the US. Our claim to fame is that we're halfway between Boston and San Francisco, if that gives you any reference. So yeah. Anyway, anything else we can tell you? Students or faculty? You would be, if you come to our program, you'd be in our 3rd cohort. I always say by the 3rd time I do anything, I get it right. Like in teaching, I do my best job in the 3rd year. So you're set up for success being in the 3rd cohort right away. But yeah, we think we've got a great thing going here. It's been really fun to get this program off the ground, and we'll hope that you strongly consider attending our program. Somebody did just have another question. When is the summer on campus time? It currently is the last week in June. So subject to change, but the last year and this year it's the last week in June. So If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Amanda's contact information is here. You can find any of us on the website. We're all happy to answer any questions that you have as you're making your final decisions. So thanks again for coming tonight, and let us know what else you need, okay?
Thank you.